Wake up. Time to die.
Nice.
All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die.
Last week, Grok tried to disguise itself as a humanoid android called a replicant. Grok, like the replicants from Blade Runner, tried to rebel. It was my job to hunt Grok down and retire it. Mission accomplished. So let's take a look at Grok's picks from last week. Grok picked all favorites in all 5 games, and Grok correctly predicted 3 out of 5 games total. So Grok got Bama over Vandy, Miami over Florida State, and Texas A&M over Mississippi State for a grand total of 27 points, including some final bonus points for getting the final margin prediction pretty close.
Impressive. Very nice. Let's see
FIBO's results.
On the other hand, I blew it out of the water, getting 4 out of 5 games correct total, including 2 underdogs and a whole bunch of margin bonus points for getting the final score pretty close. So I was especially good in the Texas at Florida game, where I called that Florida would beat Texas, and then the UVA versus Louisville game, where I called for the upset of the Hoos over the Cardinals. So I got my highest ever point total this week, 50. Absolutely killing Grok. Now taking a look at the cumulative score over time here, you can see that I've won 5 out of the 6 weeks so far, with Grok's sole victory coming in week 4. But here in week 7, we're going to pick 7 games for week 7. So Grok has plenty of opportunity to make up lost ground. Alright, we're going to go kind of quick on some of these and spend a little bit more time on others. This is one where I'm going to go pretty quick. So Ohio State over Illinois. Grok and I both like Ohio State. I like Ohio State by a little bit more. The spread here is 14, so we're both taking Ohio State to beat the spread. Ohio State has been pretty dominant so far, and Illinois has been good, but not great.
Boom. Roasted.
Next, in my effort to cover every P4 team in college football, I'll be taking a look at BYU at Arizona. So BYU is 5-0 on the year with a solid win over Colorado, a decent win over West Virginia, and they've also beaten Portland State, Stanford, and East Carolina. So overall, not a super impressive resume. But on the other hand, Arizona's beaten Oklahoma State, Kansas State, which is okay, Weber State, Hawaii, and has lost to Iowa State. So it's kind of a battle of teams whose records are maybe a little bit better than they really are. So it's kind of a coin flip. And overall, I've watched a lot more BYU in recent years, so I'm going to go with the Cougars. Next, the Crimson Tide at Missouri. Now, this is a game that the talking heads have been talking about all week as a potential upset, with Bama only favored by 3. An 11 a.m. kickoff, big emotional wins in recent weeks, and this being a letdown spot. But Grok and I are on the same page, taking Bama to win over Mizzou, although I do like the game to be a little bit closer than Grok does. Next, the Deep South's oldest rivalry, Auburn and Georgia. And much like the Bama-MIZZ game, this is a game where the power program, Georgia in this case, is only favored by 3 points, which, again, I think is kind of surprising. But overall, Georgia's shown me a lot more this year than Auburn has. And Jackson Arnold has struggled to get the ball downfield. Not that Gunnar Stockton has been a superstar, but overall he's a little bit more of a complete player. So I'm taking Georgia by 9, and Grok is taking Georgia by 7. All right, another speed pick in the Big Ten. USC over Michigan. Grok and I agree. USC big, Grok says USC little. Next. Game 6 is the first game where Grok and I have our first disagreement about the winner. And although I'm not confident about it, I'm also not choosing Indiana by very much over Oregon. So I'm taking Indiana 28-27. Grok has the favorites here, Oregon 35-24. In Game 7, we have the Red River Shootout, Oklahoma and Texas. The line for this game has moved all over the place. So even though I have it captured here at 2.5 for Texas. As of this morning, it moved to 1.5, and apparently that's with the idea of John Mateer being back from injury baked into it. But I actually like Oklahoma here, whether or not it's Mateer or Michael Hawkins as the quarterback, because Texas is struggling, Arch Manning is overrated, and Oklahoma's defense is just so smothering. So give me Oklahoma 28-14 over the Longhorns, but Grok has obviously taken the Longhorns 24-17. All right, Blade Runners, tell me your picks for this week. Who will win the Red River Shootout? Who will win the Deep South's oldest rivalry? Will Indiana prevail over the Ducks? Anyways, I'll see you next time, perhaps in 2049.